House Intelligence Committee will be questioning him behind closed doors. And, sir, welcome back to America's Newsroom. Repeatedly yesterday, the FBI director answered this way to questions on the Hill.
That's not a question I can answer in this forum, Mr. Chairman, because it would call for a classified response. I have briefed leadership of the intelligence committees on that particular issue, but I can't talk about it here. To react to that, I have to give a classified answer, and I can't give it sitting here. I can't answer that here. Yeah, that's not something I think I can comment on.
So there you have it. What's your question today?
Well, I've got a bunch, and we're going to do it in a classified setting so we can ask all of them. Bill, he is a foundational witness that touches all tranches of Russia and masking and unmasking and the dissemination of classified information. He really is a foundational, seminal witness. So I'm going to start at the beginning. What is the evidence that Russia attempted to interfere with our 2016 democratic process? We're going to walk through that. Is there any evidence to tie the Trump campaign to that? And if there is, you need to tell us what it is. And then we're going to get into the masking and unmasking and the dissemination of classified information. We won't get it all done today. Make no mistake. He is a foundational, seminal witness, but today we'll get started.
2 hours ago, President Trump tweeted the following. Susan Rice, the former national security advisor to President Obama, is refusing to testify before a Senate subcommittee next week on allegations of unmasking Trump transition officials. Not good, he concludes. She has rejected the invitation to appear publicly on Monday. What do you make of her case, Susan Rice?
Well, there are a couple of things there. She rejected an invitation. There are other ways to invite people other than via letter. There are things called subpoenas. You shouldn't have to use them with a former national security advisor, but if you do, you do. Susan Rice is also a very important witness. It may be that she concluded that public setting would not enable her to answer the questions that the senators are going to have, which is why we're going behind closed doors today. That's where most of these interviews ought to take place, given the subject matter. But she's a really important witness. And I'll say this, Bill, members of Congress don't pick the witnesses. Lawyers don't pick witnesses. The facts pick the witnesses. And whether Ambassador Rice likes it or not, she's a really important fact witness.
Well, Democrats would argue James Comey screwed up. Should have kept his mouth shut, not gone public in late October. Are they right?
I don't know what doors Director Comey saw. I can tell you this. He's not the reason. I don't think he told Secretary Clinton to have her own server. I don't think he told her to give disingenuous answers to questions throughout the campaign. I don't think he told Anthony Weiner to communicate via text with underage girls. So I don't see how any of this is Jim Comey's fault. He's got a really tough job. Someone was going to criticize him no matter what he did. He did what he thought was right. But I reject the notion that Jim Comey is the reason that we have President Trump. Secretary Clinton at some point ought to do a little self-reflection and go back and reflect on her own decisions, which led Director Comey to have to make the call he did.
Take you back to last July, Phoenix, Arizona, on the tarmac. James Comey brought it up yesterday. He answered it this way.
The capper was, and I'm not picking on the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, who I like very much, but her meeting with President Clinton on that airplane was the capper for me.
How does that change now in light of where we are today on your investigation?
Well, it doesn't impact our investigation. We have a new Attorney General. Loretta Lynch is gone. The decision to meet with the spouse of the target of an ongoing criminal investigation, you know in your first year of law school not to do that. So Loretta Lynch is going to have to explain her thought process there. Director Comey says that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I have no reason to contradict it.
Do you think that was the original sin in all of this?
I don't know. I don't know what the original sin was. It was a very complicated fact pattern, exacerbated by the fact that we were in the throes of a presidential election. Director Comey felt the need to update Congress on his previous testimony, and he thought this was the way to do it. But again, Bill, who is responsible for the entire fact pattern up to that decision? It's not Jim Comey's fault that Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton, and it's not his fault that she had this curious email arrangement with herself. I'm blaming the warden.
That means in every answer you're given, the original sin comes back to Hillary Clinton's server. Because had she not set it up, we would not be where we are today. That's what you're saying.
I'm reluctant to use theological terms like original sin, but that decision to have her own unique email arrangement with herself and then keep it quiet for 2 years was a really bad decision.
Sir, thank you for your time. Trey Gowdy on the Hill. It's not over today. That's what you say, right? How much longer?
That's right. Well, we're just starting today. We've got perhaps 100 witnesses we need to talk to, and we're going to get through 2 of them today. We're going to do it the right way, and however long it takes to be able to tell your viewing audience what happened last year, that's how long it'll take.
Thank you for being here. Trey Gowdy,
yes,
as he goes behind closed
of South Carolina, who serves on the House Intelligence Committee. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. Have you seen any evidence, or do you have any proof or knowledge of any crime committed by former National Security Advisor Susan Rice?
No, ma'am. The Congress doesn't investigate crime. She's a witness that has relevant information that would be within our committee's jurisdiction, and we're going to want to talk to her. But we don't investigate crime. And Greta, I don't like it when anybody accuses other people of committing crimes. Representative Castro did it this morning, and I would have the same reaction to that. When you accuse people of committing crimes, that's serious. And it's not Congress's job to investigate that, and it's not my job as a member of Congress to level accusations like that.
All right. Well, you were a very successful prosecutor prior to joining Congress. Put your hat on as a prosecutor for a second. Have you seen any evidence, if you were a prosecutor, to suggest that Susan Rice had committed a crime?
Well, I have not, but chiefly because I have not seen any of the evidence related to Ambassador Rice. Chairman Nunes and perhaps Ranking Member Schiff have seen it. I'm coming up over the Easter recess to look at everything that I have access to, but I'm not convinced that I yet have access to the underlying data that may have informed or instructed that opinion. And unless you have overwhelming proof of a crime and it's your job to make that allegation, I just try to stay out of that realm. I mean, Congress should be investigating lots of things, but we don't investigate potential criminality. Therefore, I don't think we ought to be talking about it.
How helpful is it when the president says that to the investigation?
About as helpful as when Representative Castro said it earlier this morning. This is a free country. You can say what you want to say. I would rather wait until the investigation begins and then is concluded, and we talk to all relevant witnesses, and if there is evidence of a crime, regardless of who committed it, proper referrals will be made to the Department of Justice. But there's not a single member of Congress that can put anybody in jail for anything, and probably best for us not to talk about it.
Have you seen any evidence that President Obama wiretapped President Trump?
No, ma'am, not in the specific way in which you framed the question, no.
And have you seen, and I mean, you say you're coming up to see the documents. Is there any reason, I mean, it sort of seems like Chairman Nunes and Congressman Schiff have been talking about the documents for about 10 days. Is there any reason why the House committee hasn't seen these documents?
Well, let me say this up front, Greta. I could have used Adam Schiff's help 2 years ago getting documents from a different White House. So I applaud him for finally coming to the full realization that you need documents to be able to conduct an investigation. I fully expect this White House to provide all documents that are not otherwise legally protected. I have no reason to believe they will not. And I think those documents will be provided in time for us to conduct the most fulsome interviews necessary. I smile a little bit at the irony of Congressman Schiff complaining about a White House that won't produce documents. I swear I could have used his help over the last 6 years.
At this point, with all the, all that's gone on in the House Intelligence Committee and all the, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the criticism of both ways, Democrats and Republicans. Do you think that there's a way to sort of get it on track, that you can sort of restore the confidence that this investigation can be done with integrity in the House, or is this one that we should just pass it to the Senate and let the FBI as well do its job?
Well, I think all of the above. I think the Senate has a role to play, and the FBI investigates counterintelligence and criminality, but most assuredly the House has a role to play, and I think we can play that role. And I'll say the same thing I said last week. Greta, Adam Schiff is a former federal prosecutor. So am I. We know how to run investigations. We need access to the documents, access to the witnesses, and we need to start conducting interviews in a setting most conducive with the most amount of information, which means confidentially. It's the way he and I did it in our previous lives. It worked then. It will work now. The less politicizing and the more actual hard work of asking questions of serious witnesses who have relevant information, the quicker we will be on the path to finding facts and then ultimately the truth. You know I love talking to you, but doing television interviews and accusing one another of things is not constructive towards finding the truth. We need to start interviewing witnesses, and I am ready to do that and would love to have Adam's help.
All right. Do you believe tonight, I realize that there's an ongoing investigation, you need to see more, but tonight as we talk, do you believe that Russia interfered with the U.S. election?
Oh, there's no question. Absolutely. Russia is not our friend. Russia interfered with our 2016 election cycles and would do so again and is seeking to do so in other countries. They are not our friend, and there should be no ambiguity whatsoever about that.
Congressman, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Calling for her to testify before Congress in the Russia investigation. But given her history, is she even credible?
Well, you know who is credible? Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer. And he asks, in the wake of Benghazi, on a tweet, could someone please tell me how Ambassador Rice still has enough credibility to comment on anything more than the Kardashians? Joining us now is retired Marine Sergeant and Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer. Sergeant Dakota, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
Thanks for being here. So what do you make Susan Rice and her credibility? Where does it stand with you right about now?
I mean, look, you have to look. She was the last administration's appointed liar-in-chief, right? I mean, she came out, she lied about Benghazi. I mean, a year ago, she said on MSNBC, and she said that all the chemical weapons were removed from Syria. I mean, did she know then, just like she knew whenever she lied about Benghazi, that they weren't removed? I mean, it's insane. I mean, I think she needs to testify. I think she needs to testify, and I think that what she'll see, just like the world just seen, we have a new administration in town. I hope that you know, the last administration doesn't represent across the world what the U.S. is, and I think that Trump will hold her accountable, and I think that it's time for the last administration to be held accountable, because the one thing that they were so consistent on, they would compromise the truth at a moment's notice for their political agenda, and that's insane. And then she's still trying to defend it.
Do you think that she was given wrong information, or she knew the real facts and was telling the public something different?
Well, here's what I would say. I'd say that I could look back, you know, maybe at other circumstances or other situations and say, yeah, maybe she didn't. Maybe she was misinformed. You know what I mean? But I think that with her to still continue, and just like she just did about continuing to say that, you know, we were still more effective at getting the chemical weapons out more than, you know, with their decisions based in 2013 than you would be able to with force, then what I challenge her to say is go over and tell the families who just lost their loved ones that what you did was effective, that the actions that you did was effective.
Well, President Obama in 2014 said, you know, it turns out we were right, that by not attacking them in 2013 after that chemical attack, we were right because we managed then to get all of those chemical weapons out of Syria. When you hear that, we played that statement yesterday, it just makes your skin crawl.
It does, and it just shows you that, look, that whole administration operated under a political prism. Every decision was made off of political agendas and look, trying to make everyone happy. I mean, at the end of the day, I have to tell you, you know, to see President Trump go and make that decision, not worry about the naysayers and not worry about, you know, winning in the court of public opinion, and making a decision that was morally right. I don't know if I've seen any decisions made from the last administration that were based off of what's morally right and what is our obligation to, you know, to the world and to you know, the people across, you know, that rely on us. I mean, you see the Syrians talking about, you know, they look to us to come make and bring peace and help them out in the times that they need it the most.
And Dakota, as a recipient of the Medal of Honor, you're a war fighter. You received that medal under the Obama administration. But with the new Trump administration and their actions in Syria, what's your take on how President Trump has responded there?
I mean, I think it's incredible. It takes my respect level for this man through the roof. I mean, it puts a whole, I mean, Pete, you know, I mean, it gives us the assurance that we're going to be able to do what's right, that we're back. I mean, that's what it feels like. We're back, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think a lot of people around the country and around the world, as we heard from those Syrian refugees on this program, feel like American leadership is back on the global stage. Dakota Meyer, thank you very much.
Why would Susan Rice pursue this?
I have no idea, but I think we need to get to the bottom of it. Susan Rice, in my view, misled the American people about the nature of the attack in Benghazi. She appeared on 5 Sunday shows after the attack, saying things that were completely false and untrue. In terms of political manipulation of national security information, Susan Rice, in my view, has done it in the past. Whether or not she did it this time, I don't know, but it's something Congress should look into. If she was involved in unmasking Trump transition figures, what was the reason, and was there a political motive? I'd like to know that, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
She worked for the president, right?
Well, yeah, but she was a very political person. I didn't trust her.
Who would have told her to do this and pursue it?
I have no idea, but here's the one thing I can tell you about Susan Rice. and Ben Rhodes. I thought they manipulated the fact pattern in Benghazi to the benefit of the president. I thought they tried to mislead the American public. There was a coordinated terrorist attack. There was not some protest outside the embassy. So I know what they're capable of doing. I'm not going to prejudge here, but I think every American should know whether or not the National Security Advisor to President Obama was involved in unmasking Trump transition figures for political purposes. It should be easy to figure out, and we will.
Did she break the law, Senator?
I have no idea, but I'd like to know the answer to that question. When did she do it? She claims she didn't. Other people claim she did. Let's talk to Brennan and Clapper. They should know. If she made a request, it would be to them. So I would suggest that we call in Brennan and Clapper and see if there was ever a request made by Susan Rice about Trump transition.
Based on that answer, you're suggesting this story runs deep, Senator.
Oh, I think it does run deep. I'm worried about Trump ties to Russia. I'm worried about who's leaking all this classified information to hurt our country. I'm very worried about somebody unmasking incidental collection for political purposes. I'm worried about all three.
Is this the information that was spread to, what was it, 16, 17 other government agencies in the closing days of the Obama administration? Is this part of that?
I don't know. What I do remember being told was that the intelligence community assessed that the Russians hacked into the DNC computers and Podesta's emails for political purposes to interfere in our election. That happened before the election. After the election, now we have allegations that the Trump transition team, through incidental collection, that their names were collected and unmasked, apparently inappropriately. I think that is a real problem that we should get to the bottom of. And there's an easy answer to this. Did she ask Brennan and Clapper to unmask incidental collection of Trump transition figures? If she did, I want to know why.
Well, you mentioned the 5 talk shows after Benghazi.
Right.
That's okay. She did an interview 12 days ago. Was she forthcoming in that interview, Senator?
I have no idea, but when it comes to Susan Rice, you need to verify, not trust. When it comes to Ben Rhodes, you need to verify, not trust. I know both of them very well, and it wouldn't surprise me that if somebody in the Obama administration, like Susan Rice, would do this, but I'm not going to prejudge. There's a
former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Multiple sources confirm that she, in fact, did know about the surveillance of Team Trump and was responsible for unmasking the names of American citizens for political purposes. When Rice was first asked about this 2 weeks ago, she seemed clueless.
I know nothing about this. I was surprised to see reports from Chairman Nunes on that count today.
But now that the story is out, she knows something, but is still in denial.
There were occasions when I would receive a report in which a U.S. person was referred to. Name not provided, just U.S. person. And sometimes in that context, in order to understand the importance of the report and assess its significance, it was necessary to find out or request the information as to who that U.S. official was.
President Trump now taking it a step further, saying she may have committed a crime. Joining me now with his take on this, former House Speaker and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. So, Mr. Speaker, I find it funny because when President Trump said that Susan Rice may have committed a crime,